The invitation lay crumpled in my hand, a vibrant explosion of lilies and lace against the stark white of the envelope. "You're invited," it read in elegant calligraphy, "to celebrate the wedding of Amelia Jane Carter," and I couldn't even finish reading the groom's name. It felt like a betrayal, a hollow echo of the childhood we'd shared. Amelia and I were never true sisters, but we'd grown up together. Our parents' messy divorce had left us both adrift, thrown into a chaotic world where birthdays were shared with new step-siblings and holidays felt like an awkward performance. But for a few years, Amelia was my confidant, my partner in crime, the only person who truly understood the disarray of our existence. Then my mother remarried. David, her new husband, was kind, but he carried the weight of a past tragedy. His first wife, Amelia's mother, had died in a car accident, leaving behind a young daughter. My mother, with her boundless empathy, had taken Amelia in, offering her the stability she desperately craved. However, this act of compassion had unwittingly driven a wedge between us. Amelia, now a teenager, was consumed by grief and anger, fueled by the memory of her mother and the perceived intrusion into her life. Our friendship fractured, replaced by resentment and unspoken. I was an outsider, a constant reminder of the life Amelia had lost. Years passed, marked by strained silences and awkward encounter. We were no longer the giggling girls sharing secrets in the attic, but two strangers bound by a shared history. Now Amelia was getting married. The invitation, a tangible reminder of a life I had lost, felt like family. But how could I, after all this time? How could I face Amelia, the girl who had once been my closest confidant, the girl who now seemed so distant, so lost in the labyrinth of her own sorrow? I spent days wrestling with the decision, the weight of my mother's request heavy on my shoulders. Finally, I realized that the family. But how could I, after all this time? How could I face Amelia, the girl who had once been my closest confidant, the girl who now seemed so distant, so lost in the labyrinth of her own sorrow? I spent days wrestling with the decision, the weight of my mother's request heavy on my shoulders. Finally, I realized that the invitation wasn't just an invitation to a wedding, it was an invitation to heal. It was a chance to step out of the shadows of our past and acknowledge the girl who had been lost to me, the girl who had become a stranger. With a deep breath, I picked up the phone. "I'll be there," I told my mother, the words echoing in my heart as the knot began to loosen, replaced by a glimmer of hope. The wedding was a blur of white satin and whispered vows. Amelia, radiant in her dress, walked down the aisle, her eyes meeting mine for a fleeting moment. The years melted away, replaced by a recognition that transcended the hurt and the pain. It was the girl I knew. As the reception commenced, I approached Amelia, my heart pounding in my chest. We stood for a moment, mirroring the awkward silences of our past, but then something shifted. A smile, a shared memory, a small spark of the connection we once had flickered between us. The wedding might have been Amelia's victory, her triumph over grief and loss, but it was also a turning point for me. It was a step towards healing, a chance to rediscover the girl I once knew, and the sister I could be again. The wedding might have been for Amelia, but it was a gift for me too, a gift of forgiveness, a gift of hope.